I, 26 male, thinks my wife, 25 female, is or was cheating on me with her cousin. Okay, this is going to be a lengthy one, so bear with me. This occurred approximately 2 weeks ago, and I've gone from entirely trusting her to profoundly questioning her. My wife and I met when I was 19 years old and fell in love fast. She has a 4-month-old kid from a prior relationship, but the father hasn't been involved since I've known her. I'd wanted to be a parent since I was a child, but I have a genetic disease that I don't want to pass on, so adoption seemed ideal for me. Anyway, since then, we've been just like any other family. Last year, we married. She was never very close to her family, but she did have a set of cousins with whom she was always friendly, and I had a lot of pleasure getting to know them. They seemed to be nice people. She did add that one of them, Max, as we'll name him, attempted to kiss her when they were around 12 or 13 years old, but she rushed away. When I asked whether she notified anybody, she replied she just put it up to his being a foolish child. Every year at Christmas, we see him and he seems to be a regular guy. I liked him since her family is a bunch of stuffed shirts and he's normal. They recently reunited and attended a few family occasions. We only have one vehicle, and he picked her up and drove her to these events since I needed it for work. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary about this. After all, they are relatives. Her behavior didn't seem to alter much, but one night as I was watching TV, she walked in and remarked that I had friended a female from my workplace. I agreed to accept a friend request. We're a really open relationship and things seldom bother us. For example, she'll make a filthy comment about a beautiful guy, and I have no problem informing her that this lady is the new office. She didn't accuse me of cheating, but I had the impression she was going to, which had never occurred before. I bring this up because I've seen cheaters accuse their partners of being a projection or anything. Anyway, these family trips were legitimate. The whole family publishes photos on Facebook, and the wife provides photos from the outings. There were 2 of these occurrences, and each time my wife returned home looking like a robot. Seemed normal, if not a little quieter than usual. But since she suffers from depression, she has a cold every now and again, and when I inquired if she was okay, she put it up to that. Well, she left for work 2 weeks ago, and because it was my day off, I puttered about the house, dropped the kid off at school, and returned home to check my email. I saw on Facebook that I had received a message from her cousin. He and I had just discussed going to attend a minor-level baseball game, and I assumed he would come back to me. I'd want to see you on your knees, the note says. I was perplexed until I noticed that my wife was still signed in and that he was speaking to her. I wanted to murder him. I went to look through their conversation log, which was packed with him spying on her and her repeating stuff like, "But I'm married." And "No, I'm married." These seem to be extremely thin no's, as if she is saying no because she has to, rather than because she wants to. I'm appalled and really taken aback by it. But because none of them have mentioned anything occurring yet, and she is refusing him, although gently, I can't claim she's cheating. When she returns home and our kid is put to bed, I approach her about the issue, and she immediately bursts into an hysteria, using phrases such as "I didn't do anything," and "I had no idea how to tell you. I was simply praying he would quit." She and I both had childhood abuse from family acquaintances, and we both went through years of treatment for it. As a result, we have extremely strong communication skills when it comes to comfort and limits, as well as how to express ourselves about unwelcome approaches. I love her, and I wanted to believe her that he was simply being a monster, but the fact that she didn't inform me and behaved normally led me to assume something else was going on. I told her I believed her and asked if I could contact him to tell him to back off and how disgusted I am that they are cousins, or if she would rather tell him herself and handle it herself. She first said that she would inform him that she knew and that he should not contact her, but her resolve frayed as she was convinced that this would just end. I was outraged about it, but didn't say anything, instead telling her that knowing she wouldn't, I was going to give him a piece of my mind. This is my wife. If she is harassed, I will stop it. If she is not tormented, she is cheating on me, so I messaged him. He saw it but did not respond. The wife believes I should have let her handle the problem, but I informed her there was no way I was going to remain silent in the face of such a crisis. She appeared to comprehend and eventually said that I was probably correct to address him since she didn't know how. Everything seemed to be back to normal, but when I returned home 3 days later, she was weeping. When I asked her what was wrong, she answered, "It's Max, and you should have left it to me." I messaged him yesterday, but he won't respond. We had the discussion about my not standing by quietly while someone harassed my wife again, and she gave me a glance, not much and just for a second, but it gave me the idea that she didn't consider it harassment. We agreed at the conclusion of the debate that I handled it the way any male would handle it. 2 days later, I'm in bed at 2 a.m. having finished some work. I overhear her on the phone with someone giggling. This is not typical. I didn't believe her when she said it was her mother and had anything to do with our child's birthday. But at this point, I've started being foolish so I can witness the scenario from a location where she feels safe. The following day, she's weeping again, and at this time I've had enough. She's been unstable for 2 weeks. When I ask whether this is about Max, she says she attempted to contact and apologize for not addressing the problem herself, but he is still not talking to her. I'll admit it, I lost my cool. I informed her that he was either abusing her or she was cheating on me, and I had caught them both. Tonight, obviously, I'll be on the sofa. I wished I could trust her, but I'm not a fool. I'm just lying here with my finger on the button, waiting for some firm truth, because if this is what it's starting to feel like, I'm ready to go 95,000 megaton nuclear on both of them. Sorry for the length. I'm simply not sure what more I can do from here. Thank you for all of your suggestions. She has a 6-hour commute to work. I'll apologize for my outburst and invite her to sit down with me tonight to chat. It's Sunday and our kid usually spends the night with my parents on alternate Sundays. I'm not proud of it, but I believe spying is in my best interests. If I discover nothing, we'll talk about what occurred when it began, what I can do to support her, and what we should do next. I adore her, and the thought of her being tormented by someone who is meant to like her crushes my heart. However, if I discover anything shady or realize that she was involved in any manner, I will end the relationship at that point. I don't believe in marriage therapy in cases of adultery, and even if I did have incest, I could never look at her the same way again. We'll provide an update. Now look at some comments. I don't blame you for being suspicious. This is messed up, but at least you guys have tried to handle it through therapy. I'd keep researching, but at some point, if you have no evidence, then see what your wife was hoping would happen. Why does she feel the need to preserve the relationship with a creep? We haven't gone to therapy for this. I mentioned that she and I were both abused as preteens in uninvolved scenarios. We both went through extensive therapy because of this and have talked about our abuse together and what steps and tools we got to move past and move on. I brought that up because we've never had trouble communicating when something is bothering us, which makes her inability to do so now suspicious to me. With all due respect for both of you, it sounds like you are both handling this in a fairly dysfunctional way, possibly because of the past trauma you both suffered. I think some couples therapy could be extremely helpful to help you both sort out what you are feeling and how best to deal with it. That said, it does sound like she is not being completely honest with you. Instead of being sneaky, I would straight up admit that based on her behavior, you do not trust her and demand to see her text and phone log. You can let her know that if she refuses, you will assume the worst and talk to a lawyer about getting divorced. I'm sorry for what you found out. I'm incredibly proud of you for going to your brother and handing over your gun. It was very wise and responsible of you. I wish there was anything I could say to make this easier for you, but there isn't. Keep your friends and family close and they'll help you through this. You are a good man and didn't deserve this. I refuse to believe a man as seemingly normal as him would just start with that. I know creeps, I know how they behave. They usually try to ease into their game, not come at you full force out the gate. Do you know the difference between a creep and a predator? More importantly, are you trained in any way to identify what you're so sure of? Cause while I agree that creeps are easy to spot, it's the predators who seem like good people who are most dangerous. Cause your history suggests you need more help from professionals, not wild guesses. This is a really situation. From her side, it's hard to accept when someone you love is doing something wrong. So I think that would explain why she is so upset. From your point, the Facebook friend thing would definitely be a red flag for me, but I think that his reaction to you confronting him shows that they didn't have any kind of romantic relationship to hold on to, just a platonic one he wanted to take too far. I commend you for showing restraint. Stay tuned for the next part.